Tuesday, July 18th, 2017. The Personnel Human Services Committee will come to order. Roll call, please.
Ryder?
Here.
Rancid?
Here.
Krieger?
Yes.
Viet?
Here.
Human?
Here.
Lutz?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Warren present.
Thank you. Minutes of June 20th, 2017. What's your pleasure?
So moved. Support.
And moved and supported. All in favor signify with the usual sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have minutes. Public input. If anyone would like to address our committee, please do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on to petitions and communications. Under A, we have a presentation of certificates for Bay County Health Department's completion of Cycle 6 accreditation. Joel?
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, commissioners. I have great pleasure to be here today. My name is Orlando Todd, and I'm the director of the Office of Local Health Services for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. And I'm here on behalf of our director, Nick Lyon, and the Public Health Administrator, Sue Moran, to present the Bay County Health Department with a certificate of accreditation of completion. Accreditation, I think many of you know about it. It is a review of all the 12 programs within our department in which we go out to all the health departments to make sure that all the policies and procedures are followed. This is for cycle 6. They're in 3-year cycles, so even though it's just there in the health department for a total of 1 week, this is a 3-year process to get prepared, and it is grueling. We're here for a whole 12 weeks, and I mean, it is something else to go through. And I'm happy to report that the health department here received a 97% compliance rate. That is extremely high. And also, they took on an extra, they get 2 certificates because they took on an extra project, so they're getting an accommodation certificate also. It is noted here that the health department here in Bay County, and when I worked with the health department some years ago, they've always been excellent with community participation and getting out in the community and making sure they're getting things done. I always take pleasure in coming out and going across the state to other health departments because often health departments, you don't hear about them until something bad happens. When something bad happens with the food, or there's a health outbreak, or there's other type of communicable diseases, immunization efforts, so they stay in the background, so often not recognized. And what happens also is that means funding levels are also low. So I just want to come here today and thank you all for your support for the health department. And then once again, congratulate Joel. And I see we have 2 Joels here, an environmental health director and other staff members here from the health department. They do an excellent job, and they're the arm of our department. We couldn't get things done around here without the local health departments. And we would like to present the certificate and thank them and thank you all for the protection of the most vulnerable citizens in your county. So with that, I'd like to give this to Joel with the certificates. Once again, thank you for allowing me being here today.
Thank you. Congratulations to both you and your employees, Joel.
Joel, maybe we should get a picture.
That would be great. I would like to also...
Somebody's got a camera.
I do, right up here.
Okay. But I would also like to
Yes.
commend the supervisory staff and the entire staff of the health department as well.
Let's pretend you're getting it again.
Get up here. Don't be shy.
There you go.
You don't get this opportunity then. They haven't broken the camera in a long time. Just the operator.
There you go.
Oh, man. We're in a perfect spot.
Hey, all you photo bombers in the back. Looks good. One more. Very good. Thank you. Good job, folks.
Good job, you guys.
Executive Barsha.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to also congratulate Joel Strauss, our Director of the Health Department, and also Mr. Todd for coming all the way from Lansing, I presume, Mr. Todd, to present these certificates in recognition of the outstanding job that the Bay County Health Department has done, not only the past year, but throughout its many years of service to the residents of Bay County. And that would include Joel Kwiatkowski and the other staff all of the management and regular staff of the health department. They work diligently to try to protect our residents here in Bay County and have played a key role in recent flooding issues that we've had, and are here continuously to help residents who have challenges with their health. So want to congratulate Joel and all of the employees of the health department, and thank you, Mr. Todd, for coming up today to present these certificates of recognition for a job well done.
Thank you. Commissioner Kruger.
I'll make a motion to receive.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by
Aye.
One other question, if I could, Joel. I'm just, lots of phone calls, and you're very well deserving of the certificates that we won. One of the biggest concerns that are happening right now is when we have beach closures without any kind of rain event. They want to know whether or not we're looking into the source of the levels of E. coli that are popping up in the Linwood, Brissett Beach area.
Yes, we absolutely are. In fact, I'll call Mr. Kukowski to come up here to further elaborate. We're looking at several of the drains in that vicinity. We've tested some came up high, some didn't come up high. We don't have a specific, we can't pinpoint whether or not the high numbers are coming from drains, but we have a suspicion that maybe it would, maybe it is. But I'll let Joel Kukowski elaborate more on that.
Thank you.
So we started sampling some drains about 3 weeks ago. The Had drain along Cuckolin, or I should say South Linwood Beach that leads down Botel Road towards South Linwood Beach. That has been the most closed beach so far this year. It does remain closed today. The numbers were just over 300. I did open Brissett today. The numbers were down on that one. I gained permission from one of the local farmers that has a large field on Botel to sample his ditches. There are private ditches there that pump over into the Had drain that run parallel. We sampled the Had drain. We also sampled the outflow from the Dirk Waltz farm, and we sampled again at the beaches. We did find some very high numbers at the Dirk Waltz discharge from the bird farm. On 2 occasions, we found high numbers in the ditches. That's the Hugo farm, which is on the north side of Botel. Those are stagnant ditches that run into the Had drain only when he pumps them, though. Those were very high numbers. The Had drain has been low. That drain actually has always been low every time we've tested it. So that is the one. It always flows out to the pump station, and they've just done some upgrades actually to that pump station. And we've been testing that drain, and it's always pretty decent shape. So some days when we know there's no pumping of the Hugo drains that come off of that private field, it still doesn't make sense to us either why there are high numbers there. And historically there have been high numbers on that beach, and we've looked into different depths of study over the years, and it's consistent that it's one of the hotter beaches for closures. It is a shallow shelf. If you look at where Parish Road is, Brissett Beach, it's a deeper contour to the lake, and it comes out and it's a shallower shelf once you head up to South Linwood Beach. So the flow in the bay changes. It might have something to do with the amount of E. coli that settles out on the shelf there in the shallower water. There's more weed growth, there's more carp there, there's more ducks and geese in that area. We can't really pinpoint it, but we have been doing sampling. SVSU has agreed to do some sampling. We would like to do some research to find out the source of the E. coli. They're not set up or funded at this point to do any sourcing of the E. coli to find out if it's human, bovine, or other. We hope they can do that in the future, and they have saved some samples, so if they have the time or the money, they're actually able to do that. That will allow us to either eliminate human, bovine, or decide if it's bird. You can't test for the bird, but we know there's a lot of waterfowl in that area, and they do add to the bacterial counts.
So Joel, maybe possibly we could get in contact with Dr. Rose at Michigan State to see if there's funds or the possibility of them coming back into our area like they did a number of years ago to test E. coli.
Just a point of clarification, there are, with the supplemental funding that we did receive, there is some for source tracking purposes. One of the issues, though, that we have right now with SVSU is that they can't run the numbers at the same time as they do the test, and so they're setting them aside to run it at a future date. We'll get with Professor City from SVSU and give you more definitive date and time on this lab.
So I think it's important, and maybe at some time in the future, if connections could be made with MLive, I'm thinking that their circulation of individuals that might be looking for news stories about Bay County would publish the fact that these are things that we're doing and we're not just letting it go. We want to find out what the source is so we can rectify it. Because water quality right now is the biggie. We have high water conditions, our beaches are in great shape, but the water quality is number one, especially at the state recreation area. Fortunately, we haven't had but maybe one or two closures that was only for a day or two.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then to add a little bit more, we're doing some research on surrounding homes that have septic systems. We've actually mapped them out on our Fetch GIS app, and we have located they do have functioning septic systems. We're trying to find if there is a smoking gun for sale
Sure.
there. We have not found one. The majority of the people along Botel Road that are along the Had drain, we haven't found any issues there, and the Had drain has been very good. That's the county drain. It's the private drains in the Dirk Waltz farm area, which right now is where we're finding some higher numbers. That's all private land. And we've checked along there. There's municipal sewer on almost all of those homes. They are connected.
Well, even though it's private property, that doesn't mean if they are the source that they can continue to operate the way that they are, correct?
Oh, correct. Yeah, because they still dump where everybody swims. So we're still looking into that. And technology is at the point now where we can run it at a local university and do source tracking and find out what is the source. If it ends up not being human or bovine, then we're going to look to other sources. And we've looked at the whole area, looked at the maps. I have the drain studies to where the influence is. And some of it doesn't make sense to us yet. I look at the flow of the bay and the depths and everything else, and I have for over 20 years. And that consistently has problems, that area. And areas like State Park, that's been better this year. The Coquitlam River's been down. I think the numbers were in the 30s or 40s yesterday, actually in very good shape. So some of the numbers are very good, but that particular area is historically high. So yeah, we have been looking into it, and we're hoping to find something to report on to say, hey, we found some issues, and what can we do about it?
And I would hope that as you find some information that's important, that you'd come back to the board and to Bay TV and be able to get that information out to the public so that
Yes.
you guys are on it.
Oh, we definitely will. And this is only about a 3-week-old project. We're doing as time allows. We're going out and taking samples. We took samples during rain events from the large rains, and then also after to see if there's any correlations between the rain and non-rain, and there really doesn't seem to be. We still had some high numbers.
Well, summer's half over, so hopefully we can come up with a game plan.
Yep.
So,
We'll continue
appreciate
to
it.
let you know when we find new developments and where we're at with that. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Kuhn.
Joel, does that private drain, or any private drain, do they ultimately tie into county drain?
Yes.
Or do they go into the bay solely private drain?
The 2 private drains that are on the Hugo farm are pumped into the Had drain. They basically dead end. They don't flow normally without pumps. So when the farmer decides to pump them down, they go into the Had drain. The Had drain then will go to the pump station at the end of Botel Road. That pump station during high water levels will flow, or at least it did. I don't know what the upgrades did to it. It would flow freely into the bay, and other times it had to be turned on and pumped. And there's a drain at the end of Botel Road, if you go down there, that sometimes is completely under sand. You wouldn't even know it came out into the lake. Other times it looks like a river pumping out from the ditch when that pump is going. So, but we've had high numbers when that drain is not in process, it's not pumping. We've had high numbers when it is, so it's not adding up sometimes. So
these drains that these private drains that get pumped into a county drain, maybe there's sediment there that reaches its way into. I don't know. But is there any way, is there any technology, is there any community that has taken the drain and came up with some sort of a filtering process? If we know that's the problem, is there any technology out there where we could have a pilot program before that water gets into the bay?
Filter strips.
Right.
That farmer does not utilize filter strips is one point. He farms right up to the edge of the ditch. So there's no filtering through natural growth. And there's a certain type of grass you can grow in a filter strip of varying widths that will help not only take out sediment, but bacteria and other contaminants, fertilizers. That filter strip will take quite a bit out before it hits those drains and those waterways.
How come he wouldn't use them?
I think that they look at a dollar amount. They can farm that land and make more money than they can receive back.
If that's where the pollution's coming from, we should have the ability to make some sort of decision that would impact or benefit the masses, not just one particular farm or individual.
I know that there were programs that they paid farmers to put in filter strips, but it still wasn't enough money for them to not farm it.
Let me ask, is there any technology out there where you have a mini filtering system in the drain ahead of the pump that would, shock or do something to reduce the amount of E. coli?
No, not really. I mean, you're looking at natural solutions. The filter strip would be the first thing I would recommend. But you can't force that on them. We have no way as a health department to make them put in a filter strip. We may be able to reduce the amounts of bacteria, but until we know the source and why it's there.
From pumping into a common drain?
I don't know. I couldn't answer that question. Yeah, that might be a question for it might be a question for Joe Rivet, the drain commissioner, too, because he actually had mentioned a few years ago about a program where they would pay farmers for sedimentation loss, which meant put in filter strips. They'll pay them through some funding. And not only does it stop the sedimentation, but possible other problems with those waterways.
Well, and all this is good information. And any kind of information makes us all more able to address some of these problems. But at some point, we got to start addressing them.
Yes.
And not just gathering information.
I agree. It's Right to Farm Act is something we really can't approach strongly. Not that I wouldn't like to go out and do what we could to protect our environment. But sometimes our hands are tied when it comes to what farmers are able to do on their property. And I can't point fingers and say that that's the cause or that's the cure, putting filter strip in, but it's definitely something I think every farmer along any waterway should have. It's an environmentally responsible thing to do.
Are we knocking on the door and saying, you know what, we're closing this beach for these people on the beach, for the people that go to the state park or wherever to use it, and we know that the E. coli is coming from this drain and you're right next to it. Can we all ever go there and encourage them to do that?
My conversation so far with the farmer was to get permission to enter his property to sample his ditches. He kind of hesitantly gave me permission, but he did. I told him we were looking for high sources of bacteria. Sometimes when you talk about that with farmers, they're not so friendly anymore. They don't really wish to talk to you. So, and that's just the truth. It's the way it is.
If I had a house on that beach and I'm paying $10,000 a year in taxes, I wouldn't be happy either.
Right, and what better way to get the farmers to comply than get more people involved? Maybe if it's in the media, you see what happens when things go to the media and it's a big deal, people tend to react. But I mean, we're tied to what can we force people to do or not force people to do as far as a public health code? What's our abilities?
Oh, it would, maybe you can't force them,
But-
but they're taught to them.
Right.
Report back that we know these ditches are the primary ditches that cause problems, and we think it might come from here or here. We visited them, and this is the response we got. I think the public deserves that. People
Yeah.
that have those homes, the public that goes to the beaches, that can't go to the beach because of this. I think they deserve the fact that we are doing something.
Right. And then we don't know if those ditches are the source, because we have high bacterial numbers at the beach and those ditches have not been pumped. He doesn't pump them very often. They'll sit there stagnant still. And they're not draining into the head drain. They don't drain into the
That's
lakes.
stuff that could have been laying there forever that was pumped into there.
Yes.
Just because it was pumped in doesn't mean it goes out to the bay today. It might accumulate, and then when they get high water levels, then it goes out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different possibilities, and that's what we're looking into. Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
There may be several sources. And, you know, like I said, technology is caught up more where we can do this locally for, you know, affordable. We have some grant money that might help out through our bathing beach funding. And Joel Strauss will know more about how much money we could use to have SVSU do some testing. But
Oh, yeah, we're doing a lot
it's,
of testing, and that's good. That's something
we-
we must find some solutions.
source testing, so we can find out where did the bacteria come from. Humans, cows, birds, and if we know where it came from, that narrows it down to where to go look for the sources. So,
Commissioner Durancheck?
At the last beach closing meeting that we had, they made a connection with them live in the Bay City Times to report some of your testing and stuff that you obviously post every day on Beach Guard and stuff. So just to let everybody know that connection has been made there for, posted it on a regular basis, maybe once a week or something like that.
We regularly discuss the results, especially when there's a closure, with staff at MLive. And in fact, last Friday, I sat down and did an interview with a reporter from Channel 5 and explained to Beach Guard how it works, and encourage you to report on that as well.
Commissioner Lutz?
What type of activity do you have?
it's just agriculture. There's no animals. Yeah, the farm, I'm not sure what's planted there right now. There was nothing planted 3 weeks ago coming up that I could identify. I sent out Zach, one of my employees, he sampled it just last week, gave me the numbers. And I have him checking too, and SVSU's been checking, and most of the time that those drains are not being pumped. He stores the water there, it stays pretty high and doesn't pump up over the bank into the drain. So, and if you go look at it, it's green, it's full of, pond weeds, and you can tell it's a big stagnant ditch. The water just sits there. So it's in a bioaccumulation of bacteria, but from where? I mean, there's numbers so high that there's a source. And when I talk about the Dirk Waltz farm, there's a bird farm there, and there's a dozen or 2 dozen geese and ducks in there, some goats. That's very high. That's higher than we can count even, unless we start doing dilutions. But that only affects one of those drains. The other drain isn't affecting the other. They're not connected, and they're both high. So, and we don't know why one of them is high. I don't see any evidence of where something could discharge into this other drain. That doesn't make sense. So we're hoping to do source tracking to find out how it's connected, why is it high. Are there geese flying in that we don't see by the thousands in this field and landing and contaminating the field that runs off? Because it'll run directly to the ditch. There's nothing to stop it. We don't know yet. If we were there more often, we might be able to figure it out. But we're testing as we can, trying to figure out the source. We went and checked on neighbor septic systems around that whole square mile, and we haven't found any issues as far as discharges or anything. So we're still looking. It's kind of still in its infancy, this little project.
Commissioner McGee?
Yeah, we've given out awards here for the Michigan Environmental Agricultural Program, so there's a program out there, but not everybody participates in it, so whatever we can do to encourage them. I don't know if the Farm Bureau could get involved. I'm sure they are already with the meat program, but
yeah,
for filter strips and things like that.
And I know there was a push for that years ago, and then again through Drain Commission, and it seems like they push and try and get the farmers to do that, and it always kind of fizzles out. So I don't know where that program's at. Maybe Joe Rivet knows where. I know he had something going with sedimentation, for where they pay farmers back for putting filter strips in, and that does help. And there's a handful of farmers in Bay County that participate, and they have some farms that are more environmentally safe and responsible when it comes to the drains. We have a lot of drains that come out really fast into our bay, and they need to be protected. So,
Okay, we have a motion to receive and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Under B, Director of Recreation and Facilities, we have IBID-US contract. What is your pleasure?
So, support.
And move support or discussion. Commissioner Coonan.
Now, how does this differ from how we're doing bids now?
How we have to get the chairman's signature, maybe a payment, and that could take a few days.
The dollar amount's not changing.
No, the dollar amount would. Blake's ability to place a certain item and a certain sale could change. You know, if there was a time frame where he had to wait, he wanted to get that item in there. That's where the difference would be.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Herrick.
John, this is like this I bid or one bid US. That's a weekly. That's a weekly bid, correct?
Yeah.
So they bid for a couple of days, and you find out within the week if there's something bought or not, or going. Have we put stuff there already yet? This is our first four we had.
This is the first.
Yes. So if stuff doesn't get bought, then we resubmitting it the next week, or?
If there's bids on it, then it would sell. It would go to the lowest bidder. If anybody, highest bidder, sorry. But if there was only two, like it didn't have much action, not too many lookers bidding on it.
Okay, thank you. But every week it's weekly.
Blake would have the opportunity to see what's on sale before that sale hits, before it opens up, and he could see.
Yeah, because you can go right and inspect it, can't you?
Yep, you can walk through the whole building.
Okay.
Before the sale, you can start to see what you want to bid on, and that's one thing. If we get it in there on time, good piece of equipment or whatever it may be that we want to sell will be able to be seen by spectators that want to come to that auction.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by the sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Under C, Health Officer, extension of agreement with SVSU, Breed the University Clinic. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
Then move and support it. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, signify by the sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Under D, from the Personnel Director, 1, Health Department Outreach Worker Typist Clerk Position 2, full-time, $12.75 an hour entry. What is your pleasure?
So moved. Support.
And move supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by the usual sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. From the Sheriff's Department, Correction Facility Officer, full-time, $17.55 an hour entry. What
So
is your
moved.
pleasure?
Support.
Then moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by the usual sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. From the Department on Aging, driver, casual, on-call, part-time, $10.91 an hour. What is your pleasure?
So moved. Support.
And move supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Under 4, County Executive Administration Assistant, full-time, $15 an hour entry.
So moved.
Support.
Move and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by the usual sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Any referrals? Seeing none. Unfinished business? None. New business? None. Miscellaneous? None. Any announcements? None.
Move to adjourn.
Support. Moved and supported, all in favor, signify by the sign.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.